Welcome to Season 4 of the M-W Tactical Podcast. Sit back and enjoy the conversations of Rockstar Burst and myself, Michael Woodland, as we discuss the sport of shooting, goals, training, community matters, and everyday life. You are listening to the M-W Tactical Podcast. What's up, good people? Once again, we're back at it, and thank you for joining us for another installation of the M-W Tactical Podcast. This week's show is brought to you in part by Outdoor Dynamics. Outdoor Dynamics' slogan is, they pull the handle so you don't have to. Now, if you don't know what Outdoor Dynamics is, they are a company that deals with remanufacturing ammunition for competition needs, your training needs, or your plinking needs. So head on over to outdoordynamics.net, give them a gander and see what all they have to offer, and go ahead and get a couple rounds or everything else they offer, from swag to brass, even to the complete ammunition that you need. Now, one thing I do like, I like those librarians and those missiles. So I might be putting in the order for some of those as well. But head on over to outdoordynamics.net and see what all they have to offer you for your shooting needs. Once again, I want to go ahead and say thank you to everyone who listens to the show. And I do want to apologize for last week's absence, but you probably can hear it in my voice right now, but I got down with these allergies and this pollen, it is killing me. So I decided to take a break. I didn't let nobody know, but we are back at it again. So once again, thank you for listening. Thank you for everyone who sent in the notes and messages that they didn't get a podcast notification last week. You're going to get one this week. So here you have it. Also, remember, if you check us out on YouTube, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button, the like, and the bell notification for how you want to get notified. And just remember, once we hit 1,000 subscribers on YouTube, we will be doing a giveaway. Now, I can actually tell you, I spoke with one of the sponsors, and they told me they're going to up it from 1 item to 2 items, but I'm not going to tell you which sponsor that was as of yet. Also, remember, if you're checking us out on Spotify, you also have the option whereas you can watch this recording that we do on Spotify as well. So head on over there and give us a gander. Now, y'all already know I give Rockstar a hard time. I couldn't do it this week. I couldn't muster up the strength. I was weak. I was tired. I was all congested. I was out of it. But I did hit her up and I was like, all right, I'm ready to record. And she was like, oh, you ready to play fair now? So without further ado, bringing forth the co-host of the M-W Tactical Podcast, the one, the only, the pretty, the smart, the insatiable one, the one who I will continue to nag once I get better, Rockstar. What's going on there with you there, Miss Rockstar?
Well, I could tell you were under the weather this past week because you didn't bother me.
I was down and out. And like some of the days I'll get up, just use the restroom. I just sit down and I go right back to sleep. And that's how I knew I was out of it. Especially when I couldn't breathe. And you know how you got the mucus in your head with your sinus congestions. Like you lay your head down and it runs to one side. You turn to the other side, it flows. I was like, yeah, I'm down and out. I'm down. But outside of that, how was your week?
It was good. I'm grateful I I don't have allergies. I'm not allergic to anything. Like spring doesn't bother me. The only thing I'm allergic to is acetaminophen, which is in Tylenol. So I can't have Tylenol. I will die. Well, I won't die, but I'll break out in hives, and it's not good.
Wow. Yeah.
The allergy.
I was more along the lines with me. I don't remember having allergies when I was a kid, but for whatever reason, when I was hit around the 30-year mark, that's when it hit me. But before it hit me, I remember one of the soldiers always sneezing whenever we would go out to the field. We used to always joke on him. I was the main one joking on him about having sneezinitis and calling him all kind of other names. And look at me now. So it's probably payback.
Right.
But I'm not mad about it. I'm not mad about it. But how was your week though? Outside of whatever you done, but how was your week?
It was good. It was busy.
Mhm.
I was up in Green Bay over the weekend and visited one of my best friends. She lives up there. She owns a commercial building kind of downtown, and then she has the upstairs, which is her apartment, which is a really cool space. It kind of overlooks some of the downtown area, and we went out to dinner one night, and we karaokeed and just kind of relaxed and caught up. And she's got a pool table at her place, so we shot pool, and just it was nice. It was just a low key. I haven't seen her in a couple months, and it's cold here. I mean, it was 18 degrees when I woke up this morning, so we're still
Ooh.
not in patio season at all. So it was nice just to kind of hang out and stay warm and go eat some good food. So it was good. And the rest of my week was it was busy with work, and then I'm trying to think like what else I did. I don't know. I've been going to the gym. I'm debating running a 5K. I have a bad ankle. I have like actually have two torn muscles in my in my right foot slash ankle, and but I would like to do a 5K. So I'm working with a physical therapist and trying to rehab my foot and see if that's a possibility. And yeah, going through all that stuff.
Do it. A
Yeah.
5K is pretty fun. Like I remember the last 5K that I actually did. I wasn't doing it to try to win it. I was just doing it just because I was helping out the cause. And whatever that cause was, it was on Fort Jackson when I did it. But like I said, I wasn't trying to win the marathon. I don't even think they gave out prizes anyway, because it was to raise money for whatever that cause was at that time. And but I had fun when I did it, but then again, I like talking to people also, doing the whole networking on aspect of it. And came out, met some great people, exchanged some phone numbers. And of course, everybody was like, "Hey, the next one is happening this day. We should all do it again." Like, y'all go ahead. I got stuff I got to do. You
Right.
can't do it like that. But do it though. Do it.
Yeah. Definitely. I used to do triathlons when I was younger. I love swimming. I swam competitively for 5 years, and I miss being I don't swim a lot anymore because mainly because I don't like to get my hair wet. I'm like high maintenance like that now.
Right. Right.
But I really love the water, and I was a lifeguard for 7 years. Yeah, so I used to do like various triathlons, and I like biking. I used to bike a lot around town. My bike's in the basement right now. It probably needs a tune up, but it's definitely something I'm like, oh, I should get back into that. I really enjoy doing that, but I've had this foot injury for a while, and I'm really just trying to work through it and strengthen those muscles and not let it hinder me from doing stuff that I want to do.
Oh yeah. Well, you remember a few years ago, um, Puff Daddy, Diddy, whatever you want to call him, Sean Combs. He tried to do a triathlon. I don't even think he finished it though. But I don't think he prepared for it either.
No.
You know what I'm saying? Because once you actually start training for it, somewhere in that training cycle, you had to do the whole thing to see where you are. And
Yeah.
then you would train and do it again to see where you're at before doing it again.
Yeah.
But I don't think he properly prepared for it
Sure.
when it happened. So, but kudos for you. But let's get it. We should actually get a shirt made for you, and then and on the backside of it, listen to me at.
Right.
But you'll probably have that big number on it, that
Mhm.
thing like that. So let's jump into a quick commercial break. And before we do that commercial break, I do want to hit up some of the topics I want to discuss this week with you. The first one would be holster selection. Like if you was to get a holster for your firearm, what are the criteria that you look at when you would go get a holster for your firearm, and why? The next one would possibly be your wish list for your AR. And then I want to skirt around training, but from a police and individual standpoint. And then the final one I want to hit up is South Carolina is now offering the firing squad. So I think that would be pretty interesting. So let's dive into this quick commercial break, and when we come back, let's hit up these topics. So if everybody will, if you're sounding like me, go ahead and get your Gatorade and your emergency packets, mix it up like I showed you in that video I did last week, and help yourself get healthier and get better. If not, if you're driving in your vehicle, go ahead and adjust your sunglasses, lay your seat back a little bit, hit the cruise control, turn up the radio, and here are a few words from our sponsors.
Mental health and guns. At Walk the Talk America, we are working with both the mental health community and the gun industry. Created by a gun industry veteran, Walk the Talk America seeks to raise awareness and create change through suicide prevention and firearm safety without legislation. We strive to eliminate the prejudice that firearms and mental health face. For more information and to support Walk the Talk America, please visit walkthetalkamerica.org.
Are you in need of a new firearm and are planning to make your purchase online? Well, you're going to need a Federal Firearms Licensee, or FFL, to receive shipment of your purchase, to process your paperwork, and to conduct your background check. CAE Transfers is your affordable FFL solution with a cost of only $20 per item or $15 per item with the presentation of your South Carolina Concealed Weapons Permit. If you live in Columbia, South Carolina or its surrounding areas, choose CAE Transfers as your FFL during checkout and let me help you complete your online gun purchase. You can find and follow CAE Transfers on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram using @CAE Transfers. Thank you for your business and let me know that MW Tactical sent you.
Hey everyone, John from Outdoor Dynamics here. We're a remanufacturer of ammunition based in Kannapolis, North Carolina. We make everything from 9mm 115 grain to specialized 40 Smith & Wesson. So if you have anything from an open gun to just a standard Glock 19, feel free to reach out to us at outdoordynamics.net, or we're on Instagram and Facebook with outdoor.dynamics. And we're always here for you. Happy to answer any questions you have.
All right, good people, we're back at it again, and thank you for joining us or listening to that commercial break and joining us for the talking points that we're going to hit up for this week. And as I stated beforehand, go ahead and hit up those sponsors and let them know that you heard about them through the M-W Tactical Podcast. Now, the first thing I do want to hit up is holster selection. So I am one who likes holsters, and I have different holsters for different situations, and it's also based off of how I dress. So my everyday wear is going to be different than me wearing like business attire, a suit, tie, jacket, type dress. And then of course the winter time, because your clothes are going to change from summer to winter and spring, of course. But what type holster do you carry? And if you was to recommend a holster for somebody, who would you recommend it to and why?
Well, I have a belly band that I got recently that I like. I used to have just a clip-on. I wear a lot of leggings. I really don't wear pants. I hate pants. I don't like to wear pants. I like to wear dresses, but it's cold here in the winter, so I have to wear leggings under them. I mean, I guess I don't have to, but I do because it's freezing. And I I worked in the motorcycle industry for a long time, so I had to wear jeans constantly because I never knew when I was going to be hopping on the back of a bike. And once I did that for like 5 years, and so it'd be the middle of summer and I'd be in jeans. And kind of once I left that industry, I was like, you know what? I don't want to wear jeans ever again. I just don't want to wear them. And now I'm kind of getting to the point I'm like, no, I could maybe like bring back some jeans and wear my jeans, but I haven't recently. I did a couple years ago. I went riding, like during the pandemic, and it was like, oh, I hope these still fit. They did. They still, thankfully. I didn't know if they would or not.
Nice,
But
nice.
anyways, so I for a while I had just a clip-on holster that I would attach to my leggings, which was fine. Although it was just always kind of hard because like the elastic band on a lot of my leggings is not super, not like super firm. So I felt like I was readjusting a lot and just not ever really super comfortable. So basically this like clips inside of your leggings, and then your firearm is inside of that. So I mean, it's again not great with every outfit either, but for what it is, it works. And then I have just like a regular belt holster that I'll take to the range once in a while, and it's just it goes through my belt loops. I do have a couple of pairs of tactical pants that I invested in that I really do like them, but again, like it's just not, that's not totally my look. Maybe it will be, but I haven't like completely committed to being this like tactical woman, I guess. And then the thigh holsters, I mean, I got thick thighs. I'm a curvy lady. So like I can't rock that. I would like to, because I wear a lot of dresses. Like in theory, that's probably what I would be best wearing, but it's just like I just don't have the right body type for the thigh holsters. I don't think they're comfortable. And I just, thick thighs save lives, but they're not good for holsters.
I'm a firm believer in whatever you get, just train with it so you can get better at it. Like I said, I do have a series of holsters that I carry. Some of my favorites are the JM4 tactical holster that I do have, and I shoot with competition as well. But I also have a 77 Solutions holster, and that was probably one of my favorites right there. And I also have a tier 1 holster. And out of all the holsters that I have, that tier 1 doesn't stand up to the other holsters that I have. I also have a Bravo concealment holster, like, you know what I'm saying? And I still like dance between those three, being JM4, 77 Solutions, and the Bravo concealment, but not necessarily the tier 1.
Yeah.
And the one thing I don't like about the tier 1 holster is the fact that it leans more forward. So like when I'm wearing it, it doesn't sink down deep enough for me. And I adjusted it all different variations to try to make it curve back into me. It just didn't, so that's the one holster that whenever I did wear it, it was more along the lines of like, it's people looking at me now because they can see this, like the bottom part of the hand grip poking out from the shirt, something like that. Then I had to change my posture when I'm doubting because I don't want to be touching on it and making it obvious. Yeah, I got it. But everything else is perfect, and of course, every time when you recommend something, it's also off of your knowledge of it and your experience with it as well. But those are the three that I like to carry. But like I said, it also depends on what's going on with me. If I'm driving, I definitely like 77 Solutions better. If I'm walking around, like if I go downtown, something like that, and I'm just walking around, yeah, I might have the 77 Solutions or the JM4. If I just going to go right quick to Walmart or whatever, I might take the Bravo concealment. There's no specific order in how I carry it. It's just I categorize which one is better for different situations, and that's how I wear it. And they all might be on the same plane. I never really researched it that in depth, but that's how I break it down when I walk out the door with the holster that I'm going to carry for that day. But female, like all those other ones you just described, Like I don't have a thigh one. I mean, I don't wear skirts or dresses or anything like that. When I teach the classes, I do talk about the clips,
Yeah.
like the fabric clips that come with different holsters and everything. I don't own one of those, but I know about it. But somebody else, that might be their favorite holster compared to what I like, you
Right.
know. So but yeah, like I said, I believe honestly females have more options when it comes to concealed carrying outside of a man.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and there's just a lot of holster options too.
Right.
We can put one in our bra. Like we got all sorts of options.
I seen that one. I was like, what? What?
I know.
But then
It's
again, like I
in-
said,
I don't want to do that.
yeah, I think that'd be pretty dangerous. But my grandmother, my dad's mom, used to carry like that also,
Really?
like back in the day. But she was top heavy though. She
Yeah.
was top heavy. And then one day she pulled it out. It was so fast. I was like, oh, Granny carries a fire. What the world? And that was how I was introduced to her carrying a firearm. But then again, if you like listen to past episodes or hear different interviews that I talk on, I've always stated that the women in my family all carried firearms. Not necessarily the men, but all the women did. This is on my dad's side of the family, you know. And I had no idea until my grandmother pulled it out one day. And she told me, like, yeah, you know, your Aunt Bessie, she carries one. And, you know, just went down the line, all my different aunts and cousins that carry one. I was like, oh, wow, okay, now I know. But that was before I was like really into firearms. I think I was still like a teenager when she told me that one.
It's in your blood.
Yeah, it is. Actually, it is. It really is. But yeah, but however you decide to carry, just make sure you have a holster, you train with it, and just be safe. Don't be the reckless person that just puts a firearm in their pants and just walk around and you're trying to be cool or whatever the case may be. If you can't afford one, there are different pricing options because, like I said, all the ones that I talked about, they range from $50 to $130. So you don't have to break the bank to get a holster, but get something that will protect you, because one thing about a holster is it does protect the trigger. And the second aspect of it is wherever you put it on you, if it's reliable enough, it's not going to dance around. So whenever you go to pull it, that repetition is going to be there. So you're not guessing, okay, I put it center line on my body, but now it's more to the left side of my body. Right. So when you need it, there's no second guessing on how you're going to pull it out. But let us know your favorite holster and what brand of holsters you prefer and what you recommend to people as well. You know, so I would think that would be a pretty interesting conversation. Actually, I'm gonna do a poll on that on YouTube also. Put that poll up and see how many people respond to that. Yeah. So let's talk about the wish list for your AR. So have you put any more thought into it, what you want to decorate your AR with?
Well, I want to get a flashlight.
The flashlight option. Okay. Now have you done any training with the flashlight?
Not on the AR. Just with a pistol.
But you liked it?
Well, yes and no. So I like the idea of the flashlight. I don't like, I have a Glock 19 that I mainly shoot with, and I didn't love the flashlight that I was trying, but I've shot other pistols with flashlights, and I like the idea of being able to have light if I need it. I just need to get the right setup for it. And I also, I mean, with a pistol, it's a little different because I figure if someone did break into my house, that would probably be what I would go for. And I'm guessing, unless they're, I don't live in California, so I mean, they're not robbing us in broad daylight like in some places. But I would think that I would get attacked in the night, and therefore the light could be beneficial in that situation.
I got you. Like I said, I'm impartial about the flashlight. With me, I have a flashlight, but I don't carry one around with me every day, so it's not part of my EDC.
Sure.
Now, like I said, I do have 3 different type of flashlights I would carry around with me if I had a selection, but they stay within my home. Like,
Right. Yeah.
I don't put it in my range bag, or one is in the vehicle or anything like that. All 3 of them stay in the house. Is that right or wrong? I don't know. But I was never in a situation whereas I had to use a flashlight like that really stands out to me.
Sure.
Like, of course, I've done training with it. Everybody's done training with the flashlight at one point in time, but I never used the flashlight in a real world situation. Right? Because, of course, when I was in a real world situation, I was using nods. And those nods, we had infrared on our firing systems. And of course, you just push a button and you'll see the laser beam, but
Right.
the naked eye can't see it.
Sure.
Maybe I got accustomed to that. I don't know. But I do know if someone was to come into my residence in the middle of the night with all the lights out, of course, I know my floor plan. Nobody else knows my floor plan like I do.
Right.
But still, that's not an excuse not to have a flashlight. You know what I'm saying? That flashlight can be used for you as a weapon also. So in the middle of the night, you hit somebody in the eye with a quick burst, it's going to blind them momentarily because they can be seeing like the stars, the flicker and everything. So that can work in your advantage if you look at it from that aspect. Disadvantage is if you're not properly trained with it, how long you leave it on without moving, you're giving your position away.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, there's pros and cons to it, but like I said, I'm just not one who is, oh, I got to get the flashlight. I got to get a flashlight. I'm not sold on it like that.
Yeah.
It's not going to make or break me. I'll just put it like that.
Sure.
But if I was to actually carry one around with me every day, I honestly believe the N-Force will probably be the best one because I think that's more simpler when it comes to activating it because it's like a touchpad and it's ambidextrous, like left and right side of the firearm. So if you're left-handed, right, you can still manipulate the controls on, whatever side is easier for you, right? Because it's like a square pad that literally sits on both sides of the trigger guard, but that would be the one that I would select, whatever model number it is. I don't know right offhand, but when I was playing around with them, some of them, like they got like flip levers and everything. I think that's too much thought if in a time of need. Whereas, like I said, N-Force has a push pad, whereas it's already lined up with your fingers, you just push it forward and the light comes on and do whatever. So that's how I look at it though.
Nice.
Yeah. So what else is on the wish list outside of a flashlight?
I gotta get a sling still.
Still on the sling? What?
I know. I'm borrowing one right now, which is fine, but I would like to get my own.
Now, have you looked at any slings in particular?
No, well, I did, but it wasn't recently. I was down at what is that, 518 Tactical or 518. There's one down in, it's just north of Chicago. But this was over the summer last year, and I was down there buying, I think I bought a backpack maybe. And I didn't even have an AR at that point, but I was just looking at different sling options and stuff like that, and talking to one of the the store clerks and just brainstorming and thinking about things. So I remember looking at a few that maybe piqued my interest, but I have not gone back and looked or made any decisions.
I know, like the sling that I have is the Haley Strategic D3 sling, and it's one of those type slings. It transforms, so it can go from a 2-point to a 1-point sling, and all it is a quick release tab. You take it out and it connects to itself from the firing system. So you release it from the firing system, and then it's another tab that connects to you because the sling is already around you. Now you just got like that one point, you know. So it's only one point connected to the firing system.
Yeah.
And then the other side of it is you reverse it, take the other one, put it back into the firing system. But now it's so easy to manipulate the opening it up and closing it in. That was the best one that I played with when I was in the hunt for looking for a sling.
Okay.
But it was a couple years ago also, you know, because I was always like, I mean, you just need a regular sling to look like a regular belt. You'll be okay. You know, but of course, you know, a lot of people think when you're in the military, you get gifted to use all this latest and greatest gear. That stuff was like hand-me-downs and beat up. It was like bottom of the barrel selections you had. But of course, you know how to manipulate it, put tape around it, or rig it up where it's more comfortable for you, depending on the situation. Or you just go out and buy your own and use it. But like I said, just over the course of time, that was the one that I really liked the most because of the options that it gives you. You know, so that might be something you want to look at straight off the hand, because I haven't compared any other slings, because once I got my hands on that one, I was like, yep, this is solid, but I know there's a few of them out there that a lot of people talk on. And I know American Gun Chick, she has one. I can't remember the sling that she has, but I know the company that makes it, they use like 550 cord.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's like individual and all that. And I think that one transforms also, but I'm not really certain.
Nice. That's cool.
Yeah. Anything else outside of the sling and flashlight?
And then I still need to I have a case picked out that I want to get. It's just a soft case.
Soft case.
No, I want to get a soft case.
Okay, so why a soft case and not a hard case?
Because I have a Jeep and I'm so limited on space. Like the back of the Jeep Wrangler is not big at all. So it's even when I have to put like my duffel bag and my backpack and stuff back there, and I'm like, can I just, I can flip the back seat up, but I'm really limited on room, and having a hard case back there is just, it just takes up even more room, than I have less storage capacity.
Now, I actually look at it like this. I don't think you're going to have that Jeep forever. Right? But you might have that rifle longer than the Jeep.
True. I'm probably going to get another Jeep. I'm actually looking at another one.
Oh, Lord. Okay, well, we might just stay in the realm of the Jeep family. But what about if you travel? I don't think it would be a great idea to travel with the soft case. Like if you was to get on an airplane with the rifle, that's what I'm saying.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I don't fly anymore. I literally drove November 2020. I've driven everywhere because I don't want to wear masks. Until they drop their mask mandate, I'm not getting on a flight.
Yeah, I don't blame you on that one either. But yeah, that was the only thing. Like for me, it's just all the traveling I do.
Yeah,
I would rather the case get banged up than the equipment inside of the case get banged up. So that's the only reason why I'm big on the hard cases. But I have a couple Pelican cases. Then I have a plastic one, but I'm not really fond of the plastic one.
Yeah.
But then you can also hit up whatever case you do get, hit up MOA Custom Foam and have them do custom design for you.
That's
and true. Make it look prettified.
I know. Yeah, that's at some point I'll get a hard case, but right now just with like, since I drive to most of the events that I go to, so it's like my Jeep space is limited, and I already have to bring my suitcase and my backpack and other stuff. So I'm trying to preserve as much space as possible.
No, I'm with you. I'll make space. It's always room for one more. There's always room. Anything else outside of that wish list?
I don't think so. I still have thought about, doing like Cerakote on it, or, just like making it fun, but we'll see. It's not a must do. It's just a nice to have.
So we're going to keep it simple. So we got the flashlight, the case, and a sling.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so we're gonna check back with Rockstar before Christmas, and hopefully we're gonna have that wish list complete. We're gonna make it happen. We gonna
Right.
Yeah, so for me, I like to keep it simple. You know what I'm saying? Of course, you know, I have a couple optics on my rifles, but I don't go all out. So you don't see like a long range rifle, I mean a long range optic on any of my AR rifles. Right? I just primary arms, you know, simple math in the glass. I'm cool with it. Now my long range rifles, that's a different story. I got a Bushnell HDR or HDMR, whatever it's called, long range rifle scope for my Remington 700, my Ruger, and I got two 700s and the Ruger. So I just take the scope and I just go from rifle to rifle, you know. But then again, like I said, I got primary arms on two of the rifles. And like I said, once again, the math is so simple in the glass. That's why I like it. Everything else, you got to kind of use either that Kestrel or do the math, you know. But primary arms, it takes the math out of the equation because you can do the math by looking at the glass also. But that's how it runs with me. Sling choices, like I already told you. Flashlights, I never really considered putting one on my AR. And I think what it is when I was in the Army, we had so much stuff on our firing systems, our weapons, that it was heavy and they wouldn't allow us to take certain things off when we didn't need them. But I was just scarred. I was scarred. That's what it was. So I like to keep it simple. So, and a lot of times you always hear me always say when people say, what's your selection of whatever? I always said iron sights, you know, versus red dot on like a handgun. But now AR-15, I'm not going to go for iron sights on AR-15, you know, or M4, however you want to look at it. Now I'm gonna go with some type of optic that is something like a red dot or a measuring system because of the fact the AR platform is made, you know, from close range to mid range. You know, so what is a handgun is made from 7 to 25, right? AR should be from 25 out to at least 3, right? And then everything past 3 is your long range game. So that's how it calculates in my mind. That's my way of looking at it. Right? However you look at it is how you look at it. You know. But hopefully that wish list will come true for you. And then as soon as you get all that, you're gonna be like, oh, I want to get this, I want to get that. I want to customize these magazines. You know, so it's a never ending story. As soon as you get something done, you're not gonna be happy. It's gonna take you on that hunt, that journey. Yeah. So so we know what we're gonna do with do you have a handgun? A favorite handgun?
My favorite one? Well, I like the 43X, and then
that's Glock though, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I know, I'm
that's
team
small
Glock.
too, ain't it?
Yeah, it's only 10 rounds, but it's like it's a really it's great for carrying. The 19, I like the 19, but it's big. I mean, it's I can conceal it in my purse, I suppose, but it's just I can't wear it in my bra holster, that's for sure.
I got you. I understand. Right. So now, would you put a flashlight on the handgun?
Yeah, well, I would put a flashlight, not probably on my carry, but probably just on like home protection. Right. But I don't think I would put a flashlight on just my EDC. I can't think of a situation where that would really come in handy, I guess. I don't know.
Oh, I got you. All right, so now let's move on to training. All right, so let's talk about it from the standpoint of the police and individual. Let's start off with the police training. how do you look at police training and how do you feel about it?
I mean, I feel like the police are probably undertrained.
Mhm.
I don't know how much time they're actually like dedicating to training, you know, weekly, monthly, yearly, but I would imagine it's not a ton. And again, it's like every department does it differently. There's not like a standard that we make them go to. And I haven't actually, haven't talked to a lot of officers about how much training they actually do and how they train, or if it mandated, or do they do it on their own time, and who are they training with when they are training? Are they bringing in professionals? Are they just going to the range and firing a few rounds? I think that would be just process to go through, like figure out what firearms are they using and why are they using them. Who do they train with? How often are they training? Does everyone carry the same firearm? Are there different ones within the police force? Yeah, I don't know. I mean, there's like a lot of things. I don't know what their criteria or their checklist is, but that would kind of be some of the questions that I have to see what they're up to, what they're doing, and what they're using.
I have a few friends that are officers of the law. And one thing I've always heard them all say was like their training is very minimal. Like one person, I'm not going to say the city or state they're in, one person actually said, like, yes, they gave us one box of ammo and that's our training for the year. What? Like, yeah, man, budgets. Everything is budget related, of course. The other side of it is firearm selection, right? So, like, if you look at a police force, their issued firearms are normally going to be the same.
Right.
It's like contracts or whatever. So, whatever company comes to them or however they make their selection process, they select it. That's the minimum of what they should carry. So let's just happen to say it's Glock, right? So you'll see everybody carrying a Glock. They can't modify it at all, like their carrying system, meaning the firearm. Now they can carry their own, but it has certain type of guidelines it has to follow. Once again, it can't be modified, because if they use it and they go to court and it was modified, okay, what if you happen to say, well, I sneeze and okay, you got a hair weight trigger? That's going to go against you and everything. So it can't be modified in any type of way. But like I have another buddy in the town he lives in. He's like the sheriff, the actual sheriff. And he carries it's a semi-automatic, but I'm not going to say what it is, but it's not modified. But when he carries it and you look at everybody else, they're carrying revolvers. It's a small town, like no crime happens there, right? And the crime that does happen there is the little kid on the bike rolling around kicking mailboxes. That's the extent of their crime, But just listening to different people, talk about their training going to the range, it's all over the scale. But like you said, I believe they're undertrained as also. Now, diving deeper into their training, I've always said that I don't believe a lot of the organizations with law enforcement trains fairly. Because yes, you pull me over and I'm a big guy, but if I'm following everything you're saying, why are you pulling a firearm out on me? Versus if my skin color was different, you're treating me different. You know what I'm saying? So how is training like that being mitigated within the force?
Yeah.
And we've all seen the videos, like the Uber driver getting pulled over with the taser, get out the car, I want to see the supervisor. You're trying to be safe, just like they're trying to be safe, but egos and emotions get into it a lot of times. Well, a lot of times I say it like that. But how is de-escalation training for police officers being handled? Or is it any type of training for de-escalation, within the police force? I don't know. Now, from an individual standpoint, I've always said you should go to the range regularly, because if you carry a firearm on you, you should be proficient with that firearm, whereas it's second nature, and you shouldn't have to think about what you're doing. So if you happen to pull out and you had a malfunction, you should be able to clear that malfunction without doing a stop, look. Once you feel it, you should be able to just automatically go into it to get back into the fight. But does your training go further than the firearm on the range? All right. How do you train yourself as far as it goes with communication with people? Right. When you're calling in a 911 call, do you practice describing yourself? You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, I just witnessed a shooting, or I was in a shooting, XYZ, XYZ. Do you tell them what you look like, so when officers show up, if you are a person of color and you have the firearm pointed at somebody, they're not looking at you as the bad guy and reacting when they pull up and see a firearm in your hand? All right. Do you do stuff like that as far as training? Has your training went far as first aid? So I think a lot of people need to think outside of the box when it comes to training. But that's just my personal belief from an individual standpoint. But I also believe that on the law enforcement side of things, the training needs to be more, far as communication. Because talking to somebody, you can easily ramp somebody up by just saying few words, keywords to get them fired up, but that's still not a reason to jump the gun. You know what I'm saying? So you can control the situation just by being calm. We already know that. But what's your take on that?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like there's training goes beyond going to the just to the range. I think there's a lot of things that go on. I know they've done like de-escalation training here for the Milwaukee police force. The cops here are actually pretty cool. I'm not really like a whole like back the blue. I'm fairly anti-state by and large. The police are an extension of that. But I was actually, when I had to have been like 20. No, I think I was maybe 21. I think I could drink. I was at there's a block party. So the street that I live off of, there's a block party every summer, and they shut it down. They do a 5K, they run, it's like a beer run. And then after the 5K, there's live music and there's food vendors and it's just a lot of people like from the neighborhood kind of wandering through. So this was probably 2009-ish. And it was after the event. We're at, it's called Locust Street Days, and it's a fun event. But anyways, I was there. I met up with, I didn't even meet up. I ran into one of my friends who was there, and he was in a band. I met him because I was in a band at the time, and we were just kind of like catching up and doing our own thing. And there was a shooting like right in front of us, and it was and the shell of the bullet shell hit my foot, and it was like the most surreal. It was a very weird experience because it's kind of like time sort of like stops and everything's in slow motion. And you like feel everything sort of pounding in your head, and you're like, oh my gosh, what is happening? Everyone kind of scatters. And but anyway, it was these two kids. They were kids. They were 15. And they had gotten in a tiff with this other guy who was at the festival. They like went back home and then came back and had a gun, and they shot the guy in the hip. And he was okay. I mean, he lived, and the kids ran off and they caught them eventually. But it was just a really crazy thing. But the cops were there just because it was this block party and this street event. And they were very helpful in that situation, and they did a lot of just kind of like crowd control and like crowd calming, and they were very quick to try to get witnesses and get people to talk and try to figure out where these kids ran off to. So like in that, and it was cool because then, I would see them around the neighborhood, a few of them that were at that event, and you'd wave and they'd be in the squad car, and it was like nice to see that they were part of the community. So I did always, after that, like I always kind of thought, they're fairly competent in these things. Like I witnessed it firsthand. They showed up quickly. They seemed to be asking the right questions. They were trying to catch the quote unquote bad guys for shooting this guy at this festival. And so I don't know like what that training, like how they knew to do that or what training they went through to get to that point. But it seemed like they had, some they kind of sort of keep the peace and gather the correct information. So they're not totally incompetent. I won't scold them for that.
Right. And like we already said beforehand, not all police officers are bad.
Right.
There are a lot of people who actually join police force, and their intentions are true. But because one person's intentions are true doesn't mean the next person's intentions are the same.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So we can't scold them all, but we can say training is training, when you look at it, but that's how it goes. All right, so let's dive into another quick commercial break. And then when we come back, we want to hit up the discussion on the firing squad. And how do you look at it? How do you feel about it? So if you will, please go ahead and refresh your drinks. This is your time to order your pizza if you are hungry. And here are a few words from our sponsors.
JM4 Tactical has developed a state-of-the-art polymer holster that will quickly become your go-to holster. With high-quality Herman oak leather, securely sewn to the interior of the molded outer Bolteron shell, your draw becomes silent and no more scratches up and down your firearm. When seconds count, you can rest assured that you will have the upper hand when you need it most. Whether you carry open or concealed, the Relic holster is available in 4 different models, fitting over hundreds of different style guns. The new reliable, easy, light, individual carry holster by JM4 Tactical. Order your Relic today at jm4tactical.com.
Hey, this is Brian. Thank you so much for listening to the M-W Tactical Podcast. Michael has been a great supporter of Hunters HD Gold, and it's my pleasure to be a support for his podcast as well. Make sure you check out the Hunters HD Gold website for prescription orders and also custom orders where you can use your own frame for your Hunters HD Gold lenses. Or if you want to try the new Hunters HD Ruby, we have information there as well, because we always using Trivex lenses as our base material, and all our lenses are photochromic, so they change so you don't have to. So thank you again for listening to the M-W Tactical Podcast, and we'll see you at the range soon.
What's up, good people? Thank you for taking the time and listening to the M-W Tactical Podcast. Please go visit the M-W Tactical store at www.m-wtactical.com/store and help support our efforts by purchasing a shirt or two. If you haven't done so, go follow us on Instagram and Facebook by searching for M-W Tactical. All right, good people, we're back at it again. And once again, thank you for sitting through that commercial break and joining us for the final part of the M-W Tactical Podcast, this show. Now, before the commercial break, we actually said we was going to talk about firing squad. And I know a lot of people are going to say that's inhumane and it's ugly and it's something we shouldn't be doing. But for whatever reason that's going on with the law, it is what it is. So if someone is sentenced to death, they do have the choice. Well, they don't have the choice, but some states actually use electric chair, lethal injection, and now South Carolina is using the firing squad. From what I read, I guess the person who is the one who is sentenced to death has an option of how they want to do it. But let me, before I go into like the whole history of what I think and everything, I want to hear what Rockstar has to say about the firing squad.
Yeah, so this one's interesting. So let me pull up this article. Let's see if I have it ready. It was on NPR, and it's basically, so South Carolina decided that if people were going to be subjected to the death penalty, that they would have the option between the electric chair or firing squad if lethal injection wasn't available. And I am actually like, I'm pretty against the death penalty for the most part. I'm actually like pretty pro-life. But I'm very pro like life without parole and like keeping people locked up and not letting them keep, trying to get off on their case once they've been proven guilty. I mean, there's definitely instances where people are locked up for the wrong thing, or they're proven innocent later. But there's just a lot of once you're just in the court system and people just tie it up for years and years and years, it costs the taxpayers a lot of dollars, and I just think that it can be reformed. But I'm not a fan of the state being able to kill citizens. That's like not something that I'm a big fan of. But I guess if we're going to have that, if that's going to be a thing that's on the books, then you are going to get killed. I think that you should have an option, right? You should be able to say how you want to go out. I want to, stick a needle in me or strap into the electric chair. Or, I want to die by firing squad. I mean, I guess that's the least they can do if they're going to execute you.
Now,
I just think it's interesting. So it's the article. Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Finish. What are you saying?
One thing that I thought was interesting, it says only Mississippi, Oklahoma, and Utah offer firing squad as an option to death row inmates. And then since 1976, only 3 people have been executed by firing squad. So it's not a very popular option, but it is an option. But I thought it was interesting that's, now, South Carolina is being added to that list, and there's 4 states that do this.
I'm trying to remember who I was talking with about this. This was like years ago. And when I say years ago, it was over 15 years ago. When people were first starting to talk about the firing squad. And whatever state we was talking about and however it went down, the way it went was you probably had 7 people standing in front of the person who's going to get executed, but it was only one person that had a live round in the firearm, but they didn't know who the person was that had the live round. So it wasn't like it was on anybody's conscience as, hey, you killed the person. Oh, at least this is what I'm thinking. But how does that play out? Because what I read for South Carolina, it was 3 people on the firing squad. But is it the same thing? Whereas it's only going to be one person with the live round, but they're not going to know which person is going to have the live round?
Yeah, I'm not actually sure. I don't let's see if it says. I've always, I don't know. I mean, the only firing squads I've watched are in movies, and
right.
Hollywood is not a great depiction of the truth.
Because I would think if you had multiple people doing it, so even if you have 3 people, all 3 people have live rounds in the firearm on the firing squad. I would think one of the people probably, it's hard to actually pull a trigger on another human unless they're physically doing something to you.
Right.
Now, let's just happen to say the person who is a law officer of the law, go to church, values are upright, right? If they pull the trigger, are they closing their eyes, right? Because you're supposed to be aiming around the heart area, but it hits in the belly area. Another one hits in the heart area, and another one hits the wall. You know what I'm saying? So now, are those people, the officers on the firing squad, are they going to get brought up on any charges for not doing the job correctly, or because now that will possibly go back to training, you know? So like, how does that play out, right? If it's more than one person that has the live round into the firearm.
Yeah, and I'm surprised that they even need people to do it. I mean, I'm sure, like, why couldn't you just get like robots? You know what I mean? There's like, I feel like there's things you could do to keep people from being the ones pulling the trigger. But also, like, how do you select that? And what is it like? Do you sign up for it? Do you just get chosen? Can you opt out of it? You know, I have like a lot of questions about how it works.
Well, I want to say the article that I read, it was from CNN.
Okay.
And it wasn't that long. It didn't go into detail. It just kind of talked about it. And the way it said it in the article was they can volunteer for it.
Okay.
So I'm trying to.
I know the NPR one basically just says they spent $53,000 in renovations to make a firing squad space in their facility. And it says the protocols have been written and the department is ready to carry out an order of execution by firing squad if the inmate chooses this method. But then it doesn't say what the actual protocols are. So I'd be interested. I mean, I'm almost curious. I kind of want to like write them and be like, so what are your protocols? What is the scoop on this whole firing squad? And I would love to read that. I think that's very.
Oh yeah. Now I know if you call them, they'll tell you. They'll tell you.
Oh yeah, they totally will.
Yeah. But like right here, what I'm reading, it says members of the firing squad must meet certain qualifications and are volunteer department employees, according to the release.
Okay.
You know, so obviously you got to meet the qualifications. So whatever their standard is for doing that, I'm pretty sure it has to be pretty high because once again, like I said, the same article was saying there's something placed over the heart that you must aim at and shoot, but it doesn't go into detail in saying all three people have live rounds in the firearm. At least that's what I'm speculating. There's only one round out of the three in the firearm.
And what if no one volunteers? Then what do you do? What if no one wants to do it?
I guess you go back to lethal injection.
Right.
You know, I mean, Alex, I don't know. I'm not trying to make a joke out of it or anything, but
it's true. I mean, when
yeah. So, like, how would you actually say, like, oh yeah, I want to volunteer for that?
Right.
Like, what does that say to you as a person?
I know. I do not want to be that person. Like,
yeah,
I'll sign up to kill people. That's
because you can't just fall back. Well, I was just doing my job. Well, you volunteered for it also. You know. How do you answer for that one? I don't know. Like I said, that's kind of weird though. But all right, so let's look at it from this standpoint. Let's just happen to say this same law was in California. And we see the craziness that's going on in California right now, right? And it was just last week, the police chief put out, like, don't walk around with expensive jewelry on because, once again, whatever's going on in California is falling apart. That's what it appears to me, you know? Especially when they say, like, oh, don't walk around here with expensive jewelry. And then the video I seen, it was like people standing on a porch of their house talking, and two guys just walked up and said, DEA, get your hands up. Caught them off guard, and then like going in their pockets, taking everything. I'm like, wow, it's really that serious out there. So now let's happen to say you get caught. This person said they feared for their life because there was a robbery. Let's just say a firearm was involved. Now, let's say that was subject to even saying the death penalty, right? Rough speculation here now. how do you even justify that? You see what I'm saying?
I don't know. I feel like the death penalty is like for like the worst crimes in society, you know?
Yeah, that's how I look at
Actually,
it.
there is the only instance where I actually support the death penalty is for politicians. I actually like if you work for the state, I feel like if you work for the state and you have betrayed the country and you've committed treason, then the state should be able to execute you. That is one instance where I am like,
We wouldn't even have a government then on those,
I know they
on
don't
those rules.
exactly. I know. One of my friends would always say, like, yeah, but, you know, if we had that instance, he's like, how would the taxpayers pay for it? Like, everybody would be, I'm like, and she was so funny. She's like, oh no, she's like, trees are free and rope is cheap. We could take a lot of people out.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I really cleaned out the swamp. Wow. I guess that's one way to look at it. Man, but I don't know. I think that would be a difficult. At first, I think it would be hard to actually get people to volunteer for anything like that. You know, now I can actually see like if they happen to say like person A, B, and C meets the qualifications what we're looking for, and now they submit it to them and say, okay, y'all three got selected, and let's say one of them decides to pull out, like, hey, look, I'm not feeling right about this. I don't want to partake in that. Then they pick somebody else, or they can't get somebody else. You know, I just want to, like you said, I'm curious to know what the protocol is and how does it play out with all scenarios.
Right.
You know, because I don't see nobody jumping to the front of the line and say, "Oh, yeah, I want to do that. That's part of my description of my job. I want to do." I don't see nobody doing that. You know, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but you know, just off of how I look at life right now, I don't see nobody stepping up volunteering to do that.
Right.
You know, so pretty catchy to me. But like we said, that California scenario, what is going on out there in California?
It's rotting from the inside.
Yeah, but outside of all the crazy laws, the high taxes, I mean, what is going on whereas the police are saying they can't come out and do their job, or the politicians don't want to step forth and say, okay, citizens, you can now conceal carry, or whatever the reason may be?
Well, it's interesting. So a couple of years ago in Milwaukee, Sheriff David Clark made kind of a similar statement. He basically was like, you know, you need to be able to take care of yourselves. Like, we're not going to be able to get there in time, depending on the nature of the crime that's happening. So he really kind of was telling people to arm themselves and to be vigilant and to be ready. And so now what's his name? Michael Moore, I think he's the police chief out there, and he said the same things, like the public needs to be more vigilant. And then, you know, he was talking about expensive jewelry and high-end cars, and, you know, watch when you're leaving restaurants and you're leaving the bars, and try to make sure that you're not in the dark and you're staying in well-lit areas, and that you know, the people who are most likely going to rob you probably have a firearm. So are you going to just be a sitting duck, or are you, and that's the thing, like I really do think if people carried more, criminals would think twice. But especially in California, they know that a lot of people aren't carrying, and they know it's you know, the culture out there is, despite Hollywood cranking out millions of movies about guns and firearms and all those things, the people who actually live in California are not pro 2A, and they're not necessarily carrying. And there's a ton of regulations and laws on the book that really make it hard for the average citizen to be able to protect themselves, which now we're seeing, oh, look who has the guns, the bad guys. So it's just kind of, I hate seeing people be put in harm's way because of poor policies and poor politicians' thoughts on how things should be. But it's sometimes you need to have a taste of your own medicine to see why stuff doesn't work and why you need to change policy and why people should have the right to protect themselves and should be able to carry. Because now it's like, well, now you have a bunch of sitting ducks and you have a bunch of criminals who know that they're sitting ducks and they're completely exploiting the situation for their own gain, for, cars, jewelry, expensive things, joyrides, what have you. It's pretty obvious that the inmates are running the asylum out there. So I don't know how you fix it. I think you fix it by empowering citizens. I think that's a good step in the right direction. But then, I don't want to see someone who's protecting themselves then be in trouble by California law because of the laws that are already on the books. And, they were doing the right thing by protecting their body, but they harmed a criminal in the process. So yeah, it's a really interesting state of affairs out there.
One thing I don't like is whenever something happens with the firearm and they come up with a new law, it doesn't hurt the bad guys.
Right.
It's only hurting the people that are doing the right thing. So why would you go against the people doing the right thing? Right. And I'm a firm believer in, if somebody does something with a firearm that is illegal, prosecute them to the extent of the law. You know what I'm saying? That's too easy. But all these laws are pretty much just going against the person that's doing the right thing, the citizens who are doing the right thing. The other thing I don't agree with is, like you said, when you're compiling all that negativity against the firearm, all right, and putting these laws into place, like, and let's use a school zone, for example, right? Who's in the school zone majority of the time? Kids, So if this person that has bad intentions is going to the school zone with the firearm, and average citizen comes by and decides to help out, is he going to get prosecuted for being in the school zone for taking out the bad guy? For not supposed to have that firearm in the school zone? And it's like, it's all fictitious in the sense of speaking. But why is the person who's trying to do the right thing being punished more? Which I honestly believe is nothing more than the politicians make it out to be the problem. They're trying to solve the problem, right? And they're not doing a good job of it, right? And they're just trying to make themselves look and sound good for votes. Oh, we did this, we did that. Well, look what we did a couple years ago, and look at the state we're in right now.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's crazy. It's crazy.
It is great. I know. And it's like, none of these laws work because the bad guys are winning and bad guys don't follow law. So that's like, you can pass every single law in the book that you want, but like, that's the whole point. Criminals don't follow them. That's why they're criminals.
Yeah, that's true. Just like there's a city in Georgia, I can't remember the name of the city, but I want to say it's like a city mandate that you must have one rifle in your home or a firearm in your home or something like that. But crime is like next to nothing in this town.
Right.
Because everybody knows, like, oh, you don't want to go into that house. You got more than enough. Well, that house, yeah, he got 2 or 3. So which house do you plot on? It's crazy. But I'm still surprised that the politicians have not bought or brought pro 2A people to the table and had a discussion.
Right.
They won't do it. They will not do it a straight up discussion and make it public. All right. Now, what they have done, they had hearings, but these hearings, they can shield them out and everything, and people won't never know about it. Just like Jara went to a hearing, the Senate hearing, congressional hearing, whatever it was that she went to, and she spoke on matters like that. Chris Chang, he did the same thing, and it's Maj, he did it. And also, but it wasn't something that was publicized because it was a congressional hearing, right? I think what needs
Right.
to happen is the politicians, both Senate and Congress, need to have like a roundtable discussion within communities and only bring the pro 2A people to the table and get the honest discussion in the works.
Right.
Right. And it's just like I said, a couple years ago, I invited a couple politicians to come out to the range with me. Hey, come out to the range with me. Let me show you the training, how we actually talk to people and go forth with it.
Right.
Crickets, no callback. Right. And that was like email. And it wasn't just a one-time thing for me.
Right.
I did it consecutively for 6 months. Phone calls, emails, writing letters. I was trying to cover all my bases,
Right.
but nobody ever got back with me on that. So did the same thing with Whoopi Goldberg. Also wrote the View and stated like, hey, I understand you're not pro 2 gun, but let me bring you to the range and show you exactly why the average citizen feels the need to have a firearm.
Right.
Because not everybody is under the guise of a bodyguard protecting them or having a security team around them.
Right.
Your studio, you have a security team. More than likely, celebrity, neighborhood you live in, there is somebody patrolling your neighborhood for the interest of that neighborhood, right? We don't have that luxury where I live at least in my neighborhood. And we got to depend on the neighbor to help out for our security, So I'm just waiting on the real conversation to take place instead of the fictitious conversation that's taking place.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because I'm still waiting to hear the conversation of why firearms are bad. Because if we're going to talk about why firearms are bad, now we need to talk about the people's intentions behind the firearms. And we can't just start today.
Right.
We have to go back in time and talk about it building up until today. And I don't think a lot of people really want to hear that conversation take place.
Well, right, because think about before we had guns, way before we had guns, people were still we had catapults, we had slingshots, we had, you know what I mean? We had all sorts of weaponry. And the firearm has probably made it significantly more efficient and, versus like sword fighting or things like that where you're really like up close and personal. But it's like to think that there haven't been weapons throughout history, like that's just ignorant. And to think that there haven't been wars since the beginning of mankind, you're not paying attention. You're living in some sort of parallel universe. So I don't think that a lot of them aren't even coming from a place where they can have this open, honest discussion. It's not from necessarily a place that's like you need to have good faith in it. And I think a lot of them aren't. They've already made up their mind. They sort of have this view of how things really are, but they're lacking a lot of context, which is a big problem. And they're coming with an agenda and they only have one option, which is to obviously ban firearms, but that fails to. So if it's not firearms, then what? Baseball bats, kitchen knives, like what's next? Like, you know what I mean? Then the chopping block list just continues to grow and grow and grow. Anything can be a weapon. Like you kill somebody with a tire iron. You know what I mean? Like literally, like anything can be a weapon.
Just like I was telling somebody I was talking with, and this was a couple months ago. You get rid of firearms, what do you have? Because you got to look at like how they're trying to push society to go cashless.
Right.
Right. And of course, everybody was like, oh, you don't know what you're talking about. Okay, so let's look at all these self-checkout booths.
All right.
All right. You go to Walmart, there's always, no cash at this machine. But there's always that one machine that takes cash, but it's always down for repairs. Right?
How that works.
Yeah. Like that's funny how that works right there. And then none of the cash registers are open, you know, and slowly but surely you're going to start seeing other people do the same thing, you know. I'm not a fan of going to McDonald's to eat, but the little assistant is. So this one day we went to McDonald's to go get her food that she wanted. You walk into McDonald's and there was 2 machines in the lobby that you can order from. And of course, you know, I'm sitting up there, I'm waiting, and one of the, I think it was a manager that actually was like, "Hey, you can use the kiosk." And I was like, "I don't talk to machines. I talk to humans." Right. And then she laughed, but she came up there and she took my order because she understood what I was talking about.
Yeah.
Right. And I was like, I'm not a fan of that because that's how people losing their jobs. Right. If everybody gives into that, that's how people losing their jobs. Right. So now if you don't have the firearms to protect yourself for, and then what is everybody always saying? The reason why the Second Amendment is in place is so that the government doesn't get too powerful.
Exactly.
Right? So if the government takes away the right for us to have firearms, now look at how easy it is to control your life, especially if it's a cashless system. Right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And then let's talk about electric cars. So this
Oh,
is
yeah.
what I was saying, like, and I
All
just
the
had, oh man, I had this conversation like 2 weeks ago. All right. You get an electric car, right? How many posts online have we already seen where like people are saying like, hey, don't charge your car up because we got to conserve energy. We can't handle the grid right now.
Right.
Right. And then on top of that, you get pulled over. Guess who got control of your car now because it's all electric?
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
And like the whole idea of the electric car is so stupid. I mean, I would encourage everybody to look up lithium mining. That's a big thing. It's super dirty. It uses a boatload of water and it destroys the landscape. So this whole idea that, you know, have you seen a battery in an electric car? It's gigantic. It takes a boatload of lithium to make those batteries. And then how do you make electricity? I mean, it's not like we have wind. Oh, I just hate how people think that I hate that people have bought into this idea that it's green, it's greener to drive. It's pretty much a wash. I should find, there's an article that I read a while ago that basically broke it down as to like, you know, by the time you mine the lithium, by the time it still takes energy to make the cars. You're still making, it's in a production plant, it's a factory, it's still all the things that go into making the vehicle. It's not any greener than gasoline, but once you have everybody plugged into the grid, you can control where they go, how far they go, when they can drive, all of these different things. And people just, you know, we're so accustomed to the lifestyle that we have right now. We never see it going away. And people don't realize that there are active powers that be that are trying to take power and change our way of life and put all these measures in place that we don't have freedom anymore. And that's part of why the Second Amendment is so important, because it really, I mean, it's sort of our last line of defense. I hate thinking that, but it's like, it kind of is our last line of defense. Granted, like, the government will show up with their tanks and their cannons and their way higher military equipment than the average citizen has, but we can at least put up a fight, you know, we can at least go down swinging.
Exactly. Well, bottom line is when you turn around and you look at it from that standpoint, once we get to that point and they take away the Second Amendment and you start speaking, guess what? What selection you want? Lethal injection or the firing squad?
Exactly. I guess I'm taking the firing squad.
Yeah, exactly. Like, man, let me get that last bit of aroma before I man, this is crazy.
There's a quote that I posted it yesterday to my Instagram stories, and it's by Yuri Bezmenov, who is he was in the KGB back in the day, and he was, I guess, a defector, sort of, but I mean, he's got some really, his videos are harder to find now on YouTube. I think you can still find him on like Rumble and stuff, but he was very adamant about what was happening, and really, I mean, he was in a communist country and understood all the propaganda and you know, kind of worked the system from the inside out. He's definitely somebody that I would recommend looking into. He's got a lot of really good videos that are I mean, very telling and actually kind of scary to watch sometimes. You're like, oh wow, this guy really knew thing and called out a lot of stuff. But he has this quote, and I feel like it's so fitting because it's so much of what we're talking about. And it says, you see, the useful idiots, the people who are idealistically believing in the beauty of Soviet, socialist, or communist, or whatever system, when they get disillusioned, they become the worst enemies. That's why my KGB instructors specifically made a point never to bother with them. Forget about the political prostitutes. In the United States, it's all the professors, these beautiful civil rights defenders. They're instrumental in the process of the subversion only to destabilize a nation. When their job is completed, they're not needed anymore. They know too much, some of them. And when they see that Marxist-Leninist has come to power, obviously they get offended. They think that they will come to power, which of course will never happen. They will be lined up against the wall and shot.
True.
I know, right?
That's very true.
Yes.
And we've already seen it happen in history already.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? So obviously, if you don't educate yourself on history, it is doomed to repeat itself.
Unfortunately, this is true.
Mm-hmm. It's crazy. But what do we do? Where do we go, right?
Right.
Yeah, it's crazy. All right, you have any more talking points you want to hit up?
No, I think that covers it. I feel like it came full circle.
Oh yeah. So once again, since we're back into the saddle again off of this allergy attack, this pollen, but this stuff is horrible, man. Man, it hit me hard. But we're back into it now. So we back at it for a couple weeks before the season break. And then next week we'll be right back into it again, talking about some more topics and seeing where we go with it at that point. So once again, if everybody will, please head on over to Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, social media, however you want to find us. You can do a search for me by doing a search for @M_W Tactical, or just head on over to my Instagram page that you can find by looking up @M_W Tactical. And click on the link tree in the bio, and it'll take you to everything that we're doing: YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram. It'll do everything. All right. Now, if you want to follow Rockstar, you could do so by hitting her up at.
It's at Rockstar Burst, BERST, on Instagram. And someday I'll update my link tree and link some other things on there. But I think the only thing on my page right now is my Telegram channel, which you're welcome to join. I post all sorts of fun conspiratorial content on that from time to time. But I hang out a lot on Instagram. You know, I post a lot of stuff in my stories, mainly current events and some animal memes and the outdoors and stuff like that. But I don't post a lot on my actual page. I'm very active in my stories. And if you see something that piques your interest, you know, by all means respond. I'm pretty responsive on there, and I always like to hear from people. So I look forward to connecting with you on that.
Hey, that's it. I think I need to check out. You're like the third person I heard talk about this Telegram app.
Oh yeah, I've been on Telegram for since 2018. I've been on it for a while. Oh, wow. Now it's cool and trendy, and I'm like, whatever. I should get off of it because now it's not cool anymore.
I got you on that one. All right. So until next time, as we always say, keep shooting, keep practicing, and have fun. So until next week, y'all take care now. Y'all be safe out there.